Hello and welcome to a Grandma Furniture giveaway captain's analysis of the recent Showdown event. I'm Shy and I'm joined with my captain and partner, Hylo Tree, formerly known as Astralende. Hello.
Hello, hello. Thank you for having the discussion. Excited to talk about this stuff. We love it.
We've got a lot to go over today. We'll start off with kind of the pre-sign up, what we did and how it all came about, how the team name came about. Then we'll go for a little bit more into the draft, what we did before the draft and how the draft day came about and all the planning we did for that. And then, of course, we'll lastly go into the competition itself and what we did to make sure our teams achieved what they could achieve. So I originally approached Tree. I was really, courteous of how I approached you about that. How did that come about?
Yeah, we talked because we've played together in previous bingos, and I had always been talking about wanting to captain, and you were aware of that. And I think probably 20 minutes after captain signups dropped, I think I got a DM from you just saying, "Hey, you're going to be my co-captain." So that was pretty good. And then it ended up that that was not even entirely true.
Yeah, you ended up obviously being my captain. I thought you had the people skills to just lead the way. Just do it in a nice way. I'm more of the sneaky behind the scenes person that will get things done, but not in the best way. Obviously, we'll come across that a little bit later into this chat.
Well, it was something good that I think a lot of people can probably relate to that. Seeing the fun side of captaining, but not sure when to step in, and having the ability to have a co-captain, especially you, who I've personally played with before, but also you've been a captain before.
Yeah,
that made it like a no-brainer. I was like, all right, like we'll get through this. It'll be fine.
Yeah, my first bingo, I decided that it would be a good idea to jump in as a captain. I kind of knew a few people, but a lot of it was just winging it. I was had Ali as my admin. We got first pick for that as well. Like, I'm just king of getting first pick, it seems. And we decided, we'll pick Tina. Tina's going to be good, and pretty much my whole draft strategy out the window. I just had Tina messaging me, or pick this person, they're good, get them.
Man, well, no Tina in this bingo, but that was a good one. I also had Stall in that one, I think, too.
Yeah, we had another good team then. For the team name of that one, I think it was the Noble Gladiators, based off of the British 90s game show Gladiators, where a bunch of strong men, did little challenges. It was good. I liked the team. We've
had good team names. Yeah.
And of course, T-Flask Tick Eaters with QZ as the captain. That was another good one. But most importantly, how did we come up with Grandma's Furniture giveaway? That was a
the least expected horse, I gotta say. We were talking for a bit about team names, and I was thinking about it, and like we had the usual, was like Crondis Wranglers and the Canifis whatever's, the things. And then we were like, what if we just made the most random cringy bingo team name? And then, we started thinking like, what's my favorite runner-up that you came up with? I think was the Codfathers.
Oh yeah, because you said like Long John Silver's was like some fish and chips over there. Like Codfather's a good one. Yeah,
just like a random ass restaurant. And then at some point you said, like gourmet furniture giveaway or something like that.
I think
you were just popping it in a random thing.
There was a lot of bad names.
They were
I've
so
just got
good
on the screen at the moment. Some of the ones you came up with, which was Business Dinner Raffle and the Disciples of Funk. Oh my, what were they?
I'm sure that came straight from a Google search. So yeah,
most likely, yeah. And then eventually, I think it was like the day, like the final thing when Ditchit was probably putting stuff in. Yeah, we had.
And we just
one word had to change, and had to be Grandma's. Yeah, Grandma's Furniture giveaway.
We're like, we need a G, but gourmet doesn't really make sense, and like I don't want to do like an Ampling thing. We got to make this completely disparate from RuneScape. So I don't know how Grandma's came in, but we snapped on it and submitted it. And, ended up being the best team name.
There were some really good team names as well this time. Obviously, Pigeon, he comes up with some good names. Obviously, he won it last year with the Mahogany Homies. And this year he
mhm.
comes back with another baller of a name, which is the Gorilla No Gamers. He loves his little
That was a
gorilla.
good one. If your car, you're reading that as Guerrilla Gamers and very confused. But yeah, there were some good ones. I like Keva Lowlife's and the other ones. So
Yeah,
not gonna list them all out.
yeah. Picking a team name is one of the hardest things. So we thought
It
just
is.
get that out of the way. Pick something bad, and then we'll roll with it.
Just like make it so bad where it's like clearly you're not trying, so you can just completely form your identity around it, and then there you go.
Exactly that. Of course, the
Hmm.
lore behind it. We thought we had to come up with a little bit of backstory.
Yeah,
Was
we're like, hmm
grandma was had passed away, and the family
hmm
were obviously giving her furniture away.
hmm
And as a cosmic entity, she kind of come back and
hmm
controlled the team, and that's
yeah,
what it
yeah,
is.
yeah. It's like some Soulsborne-esque style in there a little bit.
Not so funny story. One of our team members' grandmas passed away during the
Uh,
event, so
yeah, that
yeah.
was I got that message. I think it had passed along to you, and you had passed that to me, and I was like, oh, like he's joking, but he's like, actually,
No,
as
actually
of
happened.
being a grandma furniture giveaway, going to one of those. So, uh, yeah, that was yeah,
So moving forward
rough
from a
one.
bit of the fluff about the team, should we talk about
Yeah.
the board itself and what we were like actually planning
Yeah.
more than just a team name? Although the team name was probably most of our planning.
That was a lot of it. It did take a good bit of time, but yeah, like the whole first few things we were doing really and planning was trying to figure out the board. So the Showdown account on Twitter was releasing daily this tree teaser thing
Yeah, it was the
that
advent
had like a new
calendar.
tile. Yeah, so we were thinking, okay, this is the board, and didn't consider until later like how the hell are road bonuses going to work with this, but whatever. Just kind of assumed that that was it. And we were listing them out in this spreadsheet, and we got towards the end, and like there's like what 5 or 6 left when you tweeted them, 6 tiles, yeah. And we were like, there's not 6 more buckets of things to do in the game. Like
Yeah,
we've
like
got it covered.
obviously the group skills all there. You got like
Yeah.
3 or 4 skills tied together in some places. So all we could really think was fire making, God was dungeon, variety bossing. Obviously, variety bossing was the Kraken
Did
down
come
the
through.
bottom there, and then
Yep.
maybe like a wilderness one. Wilderness was popping off a bit, but then like there was
Yeah.
still
Really hoping for that.
still like 2 or 3 more in there that we just had no idea about.
hmm
Of course,
I was.
just an
Oh,
advent
good.
calendar, completely different. All that planning
Yeah,
was just out
yeah,
the window.
yeah. I think they ended up filling it up with the 6 hour and collection log stuff,
Yeah, so the six
and
hours
like the
was something.
challenges. Yeah, I
So
was really hoping for the wildy. It's been a while since we've had a wildy tile, but maybe next bingo. We'll see. It's
be
fun.
nice,
It's fun to
yeah.
get people out there.
Especially like the new bosses, they're very UIM
Yeah,
friendly. Well, not
yeah,
UIM
I can
friendly,
see it.
Iron Man
Yeah,
friendly at least. You're still gonna get
more
killed.
UIM friendly than old Videon. Yeah.
Definitely don't recommend them for like a 6 hour challenge. Just gonna put that out there.
hmm Yeah.
So the tiles themselves, we kind of listed them in a spreadsheet. Thought what type of tile it is. Is it easy to do? Can anyone do it? And most importantly, is it going to be popular? Things like PVM prep. We obviously memed a bit about that during the event. You may have seen it in a general chat. You kind of only want to do that for maybe a short period of your account. You're not going to be at shamans or demonic gorillas for too long. So you're pretty much just kind of stuck there.
Yeah, and anybody that's gonna be in in-game gear that could do it really fast almost surely has all of those items. So it's like, outside of alcohol is generally no reason, and especially yeah. So it's just kind of like a niche, like the it's not like a cost of entry, but the criteria that you have to meet to do that tile like it does exist versus
Yeah, easy
anything
buck.
else that as long as you're less than 99 or if it's like you don't have a pet you can still do other things, but those things are pretty locked in. So
Another one that we got really wrong. I don't know how we did this so badly. Was we rated variety bossing right at the top as the
okay.
most priority tile to pick.
Uh-huh. Yep.
This could have been before we understood the tiles. I think
Yes.
we may have thought it was just going to be kind of like your Jadge, your Nightmares, Vorcasts.
Mhm.
stuff that people don't really want to do. Obviously, we put it as a
I think this might have been when we were thinking God Wars and like super high level Slayer bosses, so like Hydra and stuff like that. And that was because it's got a really high ranking that we had given it at the time for relative difficulty. Keep in mind we didn't have an exhaustive list of everything that was in variety bossing, but things like that. Like we kind of had to give it a rating based on the icon that was in the image and like previous bingos. So
yeah, God Wars Dungeon was
there were times when it
always an
hit.
awful tile to try and do. Like for the same reasons we just stated for the PVM prep. You're probably looking at maybe on average we'll say 500 Bandos, 200 Zami, like 200 Sara or something. Like after that you're not really doing too much, and obviously they're not really late into the account and you'll want to go to Armadillo.
So no God Wars Dungeon tile this time. That was great. But the other one that was a big worry right off the bat that we were aware of was Mauritania, because even assuming it had, Bear as a nightmare like it did, Tob has always been by far the best way to get points, and there are just so few people that do Tob. Like there's few people that have done Tob, and there's fewer people that are actively doing Tob, right? And then you've got to get them on your team, and especially once we saw the speedrun drop, that increased that dramatically as far as draft priority.
Tob was a massive priority, I think, going into the draft. I think we ended up picking 6 or 7 people just based on if we get them, other teams can't. It's a scummy thing to do, but as I said, I was going for little sneaky tactics. And then, of course, I don't even think we'd sent many Tobs. I think we may have sent 3, maybe 4 full team Tobs. Obviously, that for that speed run.
Yep. But then, other than that, it was we had a few people. I think KZ, Aurora.
Sent a few.
Just them did Tob on their own with their own groups and whatnot. We had wanted to see if we could get some to do it recurring in our team, but different people had different goals, and we were just looking at previous KC, right? So it's the best you can do. But I do think one of the better things that we got out of that was denying other teams Tobbers, basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
I don't remember. At the very end, were there still teams that didn't even have a Tob speedrun submitted, right?
I think it's always going to be really difficult to get a Tob speedrun. Even if
completion.
Just put it down to an entry mode. I think that at least that way you might actually get you should be able to get a team to be able to complete an entry mode. There we go. There's a bit of feedback for anyone listening. And I think the last one we looked at was the prep tile. That was another one that scared us.
Yes, because that's just such high early weighting. So that's pretty much what you're going to bring it in, especially after we found out that the rates for that tile were processing rates. They weren't even, standard gathering and process. It was straight up processing HP. So it was like, if you don't bring stuff in, you are hard locked out of that tile. And so we really wanted to make sure. I think we got pretty lucky with some people that we definitely drafted for that tile. Definitely the one that comes to mind for Sona had 3 mil Herbal XP or something like that. But then we got people later on that we didn't even intend to draft for this. So it was like Nemi, UIM Nemi had, I think, 13 mil cooking XP in the bag.
A Cal C as well. That was another one that had a decent chunk of that.
And those were people that we didn't specifically draft for, as well as trying to kind of get everybody to do that. But that's getting more into the start of comp. But yeah, that was as a tile very high on our list to make sure we had that going in.
Yeah, of course. We had to obviously look at it and then address it to the team itself. And speaking of the team, how do you think we formed our team? What were the goals of the team? What do we actually want from them? Did we want to be an ultra competitive one?
Yeah, so that was something that actually, funnily enough, came on one of the feedback things. I saw a few people in there talking about, the whole competitive versus social aspects of teams, and pretty upfront. And I've always been pretty clear about this with you and anybody I've been on a team with, that I see it as a social event, right? It's something to go hard in and play a little more than you usually do, but and kind of do things for the team. But it's, when I look back, it's always just been oh man, meeting these people have been awesome, making a lot of friends, and having a good time doing weird content like BA runs with your team, stuff like that. We want that. And I think a big inspiration for that also was last event when we were on the T-Flash Tick Eaters. with QZ's team, he was pretty clear that he to quote him, drafted for vibes, and that was like one of the best bingos I've ever been in. Like, it was just an enjoyable time. We were watching movies and like hanging out all the time, and I think I wanted that again. And
yeah, how many Sharknadoes did we watch that bingo?
All 5, I believe.
I
all
can't
5
believe there was
Sharknadoes.
5 of them. Like, you know.
Yeah, after the first one ended, I think Scythe was streaming it. He was like, "Yeah, like who wants to watch the next one?" We're like, "There's 2."
And then like Mark Cuban comes in and one of them. Like, what's going on there?
Yeah. So, you might have more thoughts on that, but it's almost entirely we put a heavy focus on, people that'll game well and we know we enjoy, but also people that are just going to be fun to interact with and supportive of teammates. And purely as a side product, I think that ended up being a major reason why our team went so hard, was because everybody was having such a good time and supporting each other. So
yeah, absolutely.
That was definitely the
I definitely agree with you on that. Like, I think having a good time with people is going to make you game more. Like, a few people in the call, like Nimi and Thumb, they said, they only gamed that hard because there were people chatting to them like all day, every day. So they're going to be on all day, every day. I think other things that we did that kind of boosted that social kind of bit for the team was a few of the channels we made. So we kind of themed all of our channels about what grandmas would do. So we had, instead of having a strategy channel, we had the secret apple pie recipe. And we had one of the main ones, the best one, in fact, was the family photo album, which I'm gonna just leak here. Which we've
got a lot of messages in there. That was a good time.
We've got obviously we got soup and butternut squash from myself, my cat Guppy. Like, there's just so many animals. And then
it's a good way to get people in and being like, oh, like look at the, like it's something outside of the game that, like, I don't know. It's a fun way to kind of gives you like a little factoid about people that isn't about their RuneScape account, right? It's like, oh yeah, you're the one with that cute cat, or Shimmy's got the hairless cats, or this person's got
QZ's got ducks.
Yeah, QZ's got the ducks. So it's like, that was the best one for sure. And it's just, I don't know, I just like seeing animals, and I feel like everybody wants to talk about them. So we definitely had that.
I said to Senk in here, like, literally the only reason I drafted him was for Merlin, his cute little black cat.
Yeah, shout out Marilyn on Instagram. I don't know what the ad is, but go find it.
I might put it in the description if I even edit this video well. Who knows?
Huge flip. yeah. But and then I guess you're probably going through the channels. So no.
I'm off the channel now, but
rotary phone instead of the voice chat, like stuff like that.
Yeah, like we had one as I think it was Nokia 3310, which we ended up changing to just mute if joining. It was the day that Heist got his T-bone. Straight after we were sending that dirty little 13-minute chambers. Yeah, that voice call was popping. I think it had like 18 or 19 people in it at that point.
Yeah, we're all just like we need these people to not be talking so they can just focus. So we had to create the mute if joining channel, but everybody's very polite and supportive for that, and that was so high. I mean, they ran again. That's later on, but that was 13-minute cock speed run with trio UIM is pretty nasty. So
there's a few like big PVMers in my circle that very surprised when I told them that a couple of UIMs got that
on the third try too.
Yeah, third try.
And I guess the last thing, I'm just looking at this sheet. I guess it's more draft prep, but about just like who we wanted to pick, and like vibes for sure, and then splitting it out into different kind of groupings. And I don't know if that leads into draft prep, if you want to start talking about that.
Yeah, so quickly going over into like the draft prep, we kind of got this spreadsheet. It shows what everyone put on their sign up form, obviously their name, the Discord, how much they're going to play, what they're going to do, what gear they've got. There's so much information we chucked onto us. Some of the most important bits we found were obviously the comments. We're going to get a little bit more fluff about the person, not just the restrictions they have, but Philip McKennan here, he says his restriction is he's going to fall in love with the captain he picks him, which is fantastic. You want to have your team love you.
Yeah.
It was just so much, and getting through this information in a good format is very difficult.
Hmm.
This wasn't even all of it. We also got the previous information about how Springo went and the summer 2021. It just shows when people were picked, how many points they got, and how they got their points, whether it's through 6 hours or the collection log, or just from tile completion. As you can see, Red Star was number 1, which went into why we picked them, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely appreciate the data here. It's like, I don't know, you and me, I feel like we're a little bit more towards the data loving side
Oh, I
than
love a
probably
good
the most
spreadsheet.
people,
Like, just
but
look at
yeah,
my
we're
tabs up here, how many spreadsheets we went through during this event.
yeah, it's we definitely thrived in this and formed a lot through it, and I think we'll touch on that in a second. But it's great having all of this information, especially like the best in slot stuff. Like, was cool. I don't even think we really use that too much, but like stuff like that is super useful to have and
Just
kind
gives
of
you a little bit
exhaustive.
extra, really. So when I
Yeah,
captained summer 2021, I think all we had was obviously the name Discord, the estimated play time, and then I think it may have just been tile preference, but it was very limited. I think it was
yeah.
skilling, PVM,
Hmm.
or mini games or clues. It was something very limited, and it was really
Yeah.
difficult to actually tell what people wanted and get a good draft spread. This time there was a few rounds we thought these are tough tiles. We're gonna pick a dedicated person for that. With the previous information, we'd have no hope. We wouldn't know if someone was wanting to do mining or if they're wanting to do like Slayer. They're completely different things.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. It's fantastic to have, and we'll get into it in our own sort of personalized sheet here in a minute, but
Yeah, I'll bring that up
taking
now.
all like distilling all of this information was our number one priority. As soon as we got this, we were chomping at the bit for, I believe, U42 is the one that was
Yeah,
releasing it.
so U42 gave the information out. We just kind
Yeah.
of looked at the information and see what we could do. I would say that our algorithm wasn't perfect, the one that you came up with, but
Yeah.
what we kind of chunked into that was previous bingo data. Their play time is obviously a really big one. If someone says they're going to play 8 hours, they're going to be better than someone that says they're going to play 2 hours. If that, of course, it's not always the case. Obviously, some people played a lot less, even though they're going to say they're going to do it lots more, which is always difficult. Another thing that U42 provided us here was the recent EHP and EHB. We found that was a very good statistic, just to show how much people were gaming recently. There was a little bit of delay between the sign up form and when this data was pulled, so you could see if someone was gaming hard during that period or just kind of
Hmm.
not playing at all. If someone was not playing at all, they're going to probably be right down the bottom of this list. But if obviously they were going hard, someone like Desper here with 207 recent EHP, they're going to be quite near the top.
Yeah, and that's to note that's in the last month, I believe, is when I asked about it, was
The last
one
month,
month
was it?
or
Yeah.
1 month or 3 months, something like that. But I had a lot of EHP for that, and we also had access to total EHP and HB, but I think we ended up just going only putting a weight on recent because we just felt that was more relevant information, and that the account-wide EHP would kind of be shown in other things such as like raids KC or total level, things like that. So we were able to kind of take these however many 30, 40 columns and distill them down into one number, which, like you said, it's not perfect, but it gave us a good fallback. You know, just look at this one number. Here's a somewhat reasonable ranking of what they might do. So,
I know some teams kind of do a very hard, this is number one, this is number two, and then so on and so
yeah.
forth. And it's very time consuming. You are basically never going to get it perfect. But I also think it doesn't have the fluidity, if that's the word, of being able to quickly kind of see the next 10, 20 people and then seeing what you want.
Which is
So
really where the weight comes in. I mean, once we got into it, we were looking at we had a pretty hard list. I think we had like a top 40 or so, something like that, where it was
yeah,
like, here's a field of people we know. Almost like 7 out of 8 of these people, or 7/8, whatever, of these people are gonna get picked. Probably not by us. Like, we know we're not gonna get them all, but like, here's the people that we know what they're capable of, and we know they're very good. And so that formed our top list, and then down from there, we sort of went down the list at a lower fidelity, I guess, and used the master rank, but also that was where like comments came in a lot, or like specific tiles that you wanted to be on, things like that. That we kind of greenlighted you to be like, hey, if we have 2 picks ahead of us stolen right before we pick, that's we need to make a call quickly. And
I think that was
if you're
one of
green,
the most difficult things we had was regarding the draft order event, obviously where we had to dress up as penguins and do a lap of the penguin agility course. We had the decision where we won that, whether to be first pick or 8th pick. The benefit of obviously having the first pick means we get to choose whoever we want. However, we didn't get another pick until 16 in, and where Tree was seeded third pick, we lost our third round, and then we didn't get another pick until 32 in. So if you're going through 32 people, you are losing a lot of big gamers.
You need your first 2 to be very good, or like you said, like pick get 8th place, and at least get like 2 kind of like very top of the pack gamers, or do you want your number 1 pick? So
exactly, yeah. A few of the teams picked the last, and they were also teams in the same picture as us, where they lost their first pick as well. So there's no point being early in the running if you've already lost it.
Until we get to the draft.
Yeah, basically so.
2 hours prior to the draft, even.
Yeah, so we chose to be first pick when we had the information. We thought Red Star was a decent chunk better than 2. Well, pick 2, so we thought that'd be a good idea. But we thought coming round on the way back, we should be in a good pool to get certain other people, being Ultra Space or Slayer. We managed to get both of them perfect.
The key thing was and we didn't even think we were going to get Slayer, really, because we had Stahl as first pick, and that was a big surprise just to get Slayer second pick, and then we were like, oh, surely, Ultra's up there. We've played with him before. We know he's a beast. Like, we were like, okay, well, we're not going to get that, so on to the next one.
I expect if we went the other way, I think we would have probably just picked Slayer and Ultra Space at the end, and then just been one of that. I don't know how the draft would have gone from there. Like, there's a lot of people we wouldn't have got.
Yeah.
I think as well, people obviously have asked why we didn't take Jabba. Jabba signed up quite late.
How do you pronounce Jabba?
Jabba. Oh yeah, what did I say? Yeah, Jabba. Got to get so anyone that thought I was an idiot, well, I am firstly, but Tree goes to me in DMs. You should try and pronounce the name really wrong, and so Jabal.
Just be like, who's this guy on the roster? Yeah, but no, we talked about it. It was a little last minute addition there, and he's obviously a massive gamer. He's the first gamer to have the Grandmaster helm on UIM, if I'm not wrong. But we had talked about it, and we knew Stahl, and again, like back to we knew he was someone we would want to be in a call with, and absolutely know nothing about Java. So this is not shade to him at all. We knew he was good, but just didn't know, if it'd be interactive or anything. Like we know Stahl has been in the past, and we know Stahl is quite the gamer. Obviously, we'll get to that later with his sepulcher antics, but
one of the other things,
we ended up sticking with our guts.
Like DMs. Like the amount of DMs I sent to random people before the draft happened, just trying to get information. Star played almost like a third, not a third captain, but like a third source of information for me during the pre-draft. Letting to know what he was going to do. Then we had, I knew what I was going to do, and Tree knew what he was going to do. So having that third person, let us cover that board
with
quite
the
well.
First pick. Yeah. So I don't know. Do you have the? I believe is the what team sheet is this? Draft day checklist on drafting sheet. It's the red one. But like this was the one where we started planning out early, kind of 6 hours, challenges, skillers, BVMers, stuff like that. Like we knew we were going to look at that during the draft. But yeah, like you're saying, since we had first pick, we knew who we were picking. We could go ahead and count off all the 6 hours we were willing to do, so that reduced priority for those, and like PVM and stuff. So having that first pick also does kind of give you that draft information.
Yeah, of course. So yeah, DMs to people. I was messaging captains, I was messaging admins, messaging players that I thought were questionable. Don't know what I was going to do. I ended up actually making someone leave the competition because Wintertodd wasn't a strong tile. So I apologise to the admin team for bringing that up, but they probably would have left anyway because obviously they didn't have the tile they wanted to do.
Yeah.
It was good little bit of source of information.
Yeah, and
I'm
you were popping in streams and everything as well.
Yeah, so like I was joining
Few people.
few streamers like chats, see what they were like as people. Obviously, Pets for Wild. I tuned into his chat a few times. Spoke to him.
Persona.
Persona, yeah, and like I could see, they were chatty people. I didn't want to tune into a stream where someone's just blasting some techno music while three ticking fishing. Like just, that's not going to be the vibe.
Unfortunately, Ultra Space doesn't stream, so you can't get that.
Yeah, luckily I knew him. Otherwise, yeah.
Yeah. No, but yeah, that was good tangential information because that kind of gives you a little bit more than we had in the sheet. And literally any information that you don't have in the sheet is very valuable because you can assume other teams don't have that.
Yeah,
Competitive advantage.
it was also worth messaging other teams because knowing what other people were going to pick helped knowing what we could pick. So, for instance, we kind of worked out most of the first 2 or 3 rounds. I think I only had like 2 wrong in the first few.
Yeah, you're pretty bang on with your estimates of who was picking how. So
it was just we thought we could get Slayer in the second round in the end, which was perfect because we did.
we almost got Whale from their team, but
oh yeah, I said to Zoe, I was like, yeah, we're picking Whale. Like, deal with it. Everyone knew that Whale was going to be picked by Zoe. Like, it's almost like unwritten rule not to pick them. You got to keep the group together.
Don't separate the homies. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And then of course, then it was like the gamble. Do we get Ultra Space? We lose 10 picks, but like luckily we got him. And
somehow slipped through.
Yeah, generally after that, I think the plan was just try and get those core tiles, the PVM prep and what was it? Any PVMer really that can do top.
Or 10, yeah. So we're using the other sheet, the come between all these sheets, but that sheet that we had that we kind of had a rough ranking of difficulty for tiles. So that was a big inspiration of like, okay, we need to make sure we pick for top. We need to make sure we have people for the challenges and the speed runs that can do this and do it well, so that we have that locked down. Because honestly, like if you can get somebody that can send a god tier sepulcher run and do nothing else, they'll probably get more points than like your bottom third, like just from one run, right? And then if they just do anything, like they're very valuable to have those challenges and have people that are gonna perform well. So that was a lot of our talks. We knew Ultra was good for 2 of them. I was, ready to fill for a few of them, but I'm by no
I was
means
going to do CG. What
gamer.
the hell? I was going to
Yeah,
get. I'm probably going to get like 25, 30, and then.
Yeah, then we got Slayer, so we knew we had that in the back. And like, if you're looking at the drafting sheet, draft day checklist, we had that, and the E to F column range, the challenge pocket pick. So we were checking them off live during the draft. Which was a whole thing that we'll get into in a second, I'm sure, about our process and our roles there. But checking those off, and we had a sort of importance, like I don't know if you're looking at this, but the green ones are like, all the challenge runs, and then like the yellow are like kind of we'd like some people to do Toa, but it's more accessible, so we kind of knew we could get away with that. And then like BA was like, we felt like we were pretty good on BA just going in, so as long as we like that wasn't a big power pick kind of.
Yeah, I thought we were going to be good for BA. Like going into friend picks a little bit. Ozerat Carr has also been on our team 3 in a row.
Yep.
So we were going to try and pick them a little bit early. It's very important not to pick your friends too early, but to get them at the right time. So we ended up with round 9 for him because
we'd estimated round 12 from previous bingos. He'd gotten a few levels, so I think we had a big gap between like 9 and 10. For some reason, we were like, okay, let's put him up here, and that was good. And for the record, I did ask him beforehand. I was like, "Hey, we've been on the same team like 3 times in a row. Like, is that all right? Like, do you want to, be on a different team or whatever?" So that's always something important to consider. Like, you don't want to just shoot people into the same exact group every time. But he was down, and I was very happy for that.
It's definitely important to be with people that do perform well in previous teams. So like, I think we had about 8 or 9 people maybe that we'd been in previous teams with, like Ultra Space, Slayer, QZ, 5J5, Senk, been
So now you've
Lily and
started
Bear.
listing
Like,
them off. So
there's a lot.
now we're gonna miss somebody. But it's
Yeah,
definitely like you know that they'll play and that they'll be enjoyable to be around. So it is a waiting. I definitely think we were pretty impartial as we could be, which ended up being good. And you're always gonna make new friends and all that. So
yeah, our team friendship's fantastic. Like it's
I mean,
into February now. We've still got an active voice call, so
it's
pretty nice.
Every day, Thumb and Nummy start in the morning, and then Guardy trickles in at some point, and you and me pop in. And
do a few raids.
Yeah, so.
So the draft itself, let's go over how it actually went about, what we both did during the draft. I had a very boring role during the draft. I pretty much I took a name and then I deleted the name. That was nearly all of my role during the draft. But we also had this big green box here. This green box was the lifesaver. What we did,
which we didn't even have going into it. We made that halfway through because I was like, we need somewhere to put questions.
Yeah, you can't speak to each other at all during the draft. Mm-hmm. So you've got to try and find a way to communicate what is good, what is bad, your opinions. Yep. So we used this green box. What it was I'd put, a couple of names in, and then, oh, it didn't work. It's fine. Break the spreadsheet. You'd put a couple of names in, and then Tree would pick it or whatever. Yep. So yeah, Nima would do prep or we need a minor. We pick Thumb. Mm-hmm. And that was all we had to communicate. So we had the full list of all the names, and it was just getting deleted one by one. Mm-hmm. We had a few people highlighted in green, people we kind of knew a little bit about. White wasn't necessarily we don't like you. That was red, which I've removed all of those. And it was more yeah.
It's just like we needed something that could be like if we didn't want to just look at master ranking. I think was the big thing. Like that we have this value. We put hours into figuring out our little formula for the master ranking thing, and I think it was pretty handy. But we did not want to trust that like nothing else. So our green was sort of just, hey, here's something we can visually see super quick. If I'm looking at this grouping of people for my next pick, like I know these people. I'm just trusting my previous self to be like, hey, you looked at this and you were like, hey, they're green. Whether it's a comment about being excited for the comp or like they do mining or rune crafting or they have lots of talking.
Or you just know normal, like you've played with them. Like, I think most of the admin teams are always going to be a green pick because they work well. Dipshit maybe. They obviously spend all of their work hours on bingo.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So that was big. I mean, you can see here like all of that information we had before. We distilled into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 columns because we needed something to look at, knowing we probably have a minute and a half between each draft pick, and then once the draft pick gets to us, if we lose somebody right before to the previous team that we were expecting to pick, then we've got 30 seconds or whatever. So we had to distill it down to this like bare bones. I need to look super quickly at this based on what Shai's deleting and what we're needing in these other sheets, and how do we get all of that information into our head?
Pretty much the easiest way early on was, like we said, we wanted to try and get as many people that could PVM as we kind of could. So we had like Serens here. This was a really good one. He's never touched PVM in RuneScape, not even Barrows. So he's hoping he can do some of the event. That's kind of cool. Like, that's some good, vibes, basically, as we keep saying.
And before we even started the event, he had already done a Chambers KC or 3. So.
Yeah, so he's like, he now does, I think, 1 + 9 Chambers, I think, something like that with his U short bow.
Yeah.
It's mental.
Absolute legend, yeah. No. But yeah, that was a lot of good information. And I will say, I think it was if you're looking at this and you're going, oh damn, like why didn't I comment something like this? I believe the open text comment box was called like additional restrictions. It wasn't, hey, what do you have to say? It was just like, you know, it
Yeah.
was about restrictions. So I would definitely, if anybody from admin's watching this later, recommend adding an optional box that's just like, hey, do you have anything to say? Like, you excited? Like, things like that, because that's unironically like one of our most important data points was just like, yeah, a little bit about account restrictions, but also just, I don't know, say 5 words that give us an indication of what you want. Like,
Like Slayer, oh, woo, perfect. That's
yeah, oh
exactly
my
second
god,
round
yeah,
pick material there.
top of the list, right there.
Or like Ultra Space,
Yeah.
for instance, he says you've got time off work, but it was a bit of a
Yep.
gamble whether he did. Luckily, he did, so
You did.
got a little bit extra out of him.
Yeah.
So what did you even do during the draft? Do you even do anything?
I said words and I blew my nose a lot. I was so freaking sick that day.
Day 2
I felt
comp.
terrible, but yeah, it was good. You were just you were managing all of the information that I could see, and I was picking from the top of the list basically, and what we talked about and what fit. So that was a really good role.
And then,
Going
yeah,
back
we
and forth.
obviously, like I said, we put them into the box on the left to kind of say what type of person they were. I think we got pretty much bang on,
Yeah.
really.
The PVM and the Skiller one. So that I made that very quickly, and I it was entirely based on uh, EHB and HP. Like if you even had close to even EHB THP, I was like, you're a PVM or whatever. But obviously, I mean, if we're looking around, like Skiller picks, like I was number 1 on that. I mostly did PVM for the comp, and then Persona ended up doing a bunch of CG. There were things that I was just like wildly wrong with, but it it worked. It was another good little just maybe this is useful information, maybe it's not, but
We never
if you
put
have enough of those things,
Wacula and Psychologist in there, so I'm going to do that now, just so
there you
it's
go.
in there.
Yeah. I don't even know. Do we have everybody? Yeah.
How do I do it?
I think after a certain point, it's just like.
There we go.
Yeah,
I think it was at that point, there's no names to be deleted, so these are probably like the last couple of
This
days.
is mostly just to see our spread, because we knew PVMers were going to be early, right? Because there's
Yeah,
just
I think
less people that have that end game gear, and also your PVMers can skill, and
yeah,
they,
exactly.
but skillers can't PVM, so it's.
I think a little
That
bit
was-
of like assistance for other teams in future, just because someone gets massive points in terms of skilling, it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be a first pick material. I think you've got to kind of look at what people can and can't do, and if a PVMer can do like a bit of rooftop agility to get their staminas back, then that's going to be better than someone that's good at skilling. But if you've got too many skillers, they can't just jump into like TOB or chambers or any like.
the flexibility of people is
Yeah.
absolutely a number 1 thing, and that I think unironically, like that's not even the right word for that. I think happenstance of picking a team that we know is going to be good vibes and all that comes with people that are going to be willing to change and willing to do things that either aren't high on their list or not on their list at all when we need them to, and when it's the last day and we're like, all right, thieving masks go, or just halfway through and we're like, hey, you're totally killing this tile, but we've got a lot of people on it. Could you switch to something else? Like Saren's was a great example of that. Really wanted to do crafting, I think, and literally, I think at the end of it did like no crafting basically.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Put him
but
on rune crafting. Rune crafting was going well, so we put him on something else. Like it's people like that are so much more valuable.
I think you've got to come into a competition like this with a plan, but also be very open to changing said plans. So like maybe the first 3 or 4 days, they're kind of a bit of a free for all. You can do what you want, but you've got to think, if you want to actually win a competition, you've got to switch it up maybe halfway through to do what the team needs. Like I ended up having to do a bit of Giants Foundry and like smithing and just obviously finish that off.
And you were whinging about it the whole time.
Oh, I did not enjoy that. And I needed to do
appreciate
smithing,
it.
but
Yeah. And you use it as a good, like, I don't know, I've always seen it, like, I'm not maxed or anything, but I've always seen it as a good excuse to do the things you don't want because you have that sort of tangential goal of, like, oh, it's for the comp,
exactly.
Like
And it was a good break from, getting all those pets from PVM, I suppose.
Yeah.
I couldn't get too many pets this event.
That was disgusting. But we're all
Actually, I did
so
get a
happy.
skill in pet. You know, I was
You
cooking
got
one dinner.
one.
And nearly
you weren't
missed it.
at your computer when you got it, but yo pog beaver.
Thank you
Yeah.
for getting that screenshot to my friend and clan.
Yeah. God. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it for draft, right?
Yeah, so I think, as soon as you get out of the draft, the first thing I said in that voice call was everyone that got picked on the Grandma Furniture giveaway, get into that voice call. And it was like, immediately got like 15 people in the voice call, all chatting away, all saying they're excited, doing this, that, and the other. And then we kind of had to take a bit of a step back and say, we got to do some planning now, guys. Here's a spreadsheet for you. So we gave them this GFG Snowdown tile interest heat map that we came up with. Well, I say we, Tree came up with, and obviously assisted with what we needed on there. We've sadly cleared the data now, but I'll show you the way it works. You'd put in what skills you want to do. If you really want to do a skill, you put it as a 3. That's not even me. If you're happy to do a skill, then you put it as maybe a 1. And then if you don't want to do a skill, you just leave it blank. So I was pretty much very boring. I'd do PVM prep, and then I might do some raids. But that gave us a little bit of an idea.
And then if you look at the bottom, we've got some... these farming and minigames were crossed out because we were kind of using it during the comp, and we tier 6 to those, by the way. So we were like, all right, no more looking at this. But
comp as well.
having those like average tile interests, like this was completely filled out after like 48 hours of us drafting our team, which was insane. Having every single person on the team respond to this so quickly was so helpful because we immediately saw gaps where there wasn't much interest in tiles, or like, oh, there's a ton of interest, we're probably gonna have to get people off of this, or oh man, only 3 people even rated this at all, they're gonna have to main this tile, things like that we could figure out ahead of time and isn't just based on the data that we had coming into it. So
for sure. Like, I think knowing what people were going to do early like helped us massively. Like most people, this was a 10-day competition. For our team, we made them start on like the 4th as soon as the draft finished. Like we were saying, like, right now draft's finished. Now you've got to go down, do some seaweed runs, get yourself some Aspori seeds. If everyone does, I think it was, if 20 people do one Aspori every day, you tier 6 farm in on day 6.
Passive,
that is
with
insane.
No contracts.
We did contracts as well.
We did it, but it was like, that's what the planning was, and man, the team was so responsive to that. Granted, I was out there like the freaking demon drill sergeant, just screaming about it every day, like, get your damn seaweed, get in water prison. But we had some good memes from that, I think. But I mean, everybody got a few. At least I think, I want to say like 15 to 20 people on the team went out of their way to go get a sport seed, at least one, and a lot of people had like 5. So we ended up, I think we had like 10 to 15 people that did 1 a day for the better part of the comp, and that was just like,
that was
completely
enough. Exactly.
Free time before the competition, and not too bad. We like, the important thing is we were like, oh, go get his 4 seeds, because that's just like, well, how the fuck do you do that? It was like, okay, like if you want to do this, obviously do your tree rounds as you get them, but also like seaweed is a good way, and like not just, oh, go do seaweed, because some people haven't done that. I don't know, I haven't done it before this comp, and it was like, okay, so like let's write out a little explanation for, here's how easy it is to do this. Just go do this for 15 minutes a day, kind of thing. And like, you got to bring it down and like understand that people, aren't gonna jump at this and figure it out. Like, you just be like, hey, yeah, here's how you do it, and it's not bad. And they did it. And
which pretty much leads into my backup contract plan. So contracts, you don't need to have seeds in your inventory to do them. It helps massively, but the main thing is,
hate them.
Yeah, the main thing you do is you prepare. Like, this is how I set up my farming guild for when I do contracts. Just having those planted. They're normally in multiple tiers of contracts, so you can get some good like back-to-backs. Maybe get 3 or 4 at the start of the day, and then you don't need to touch it while the rest of them grow again. I think I ended up with like 40 or 50 contracts in the end of it. Car maybe about 60. And that was just kind of like not really doing contracts. What I call it was how to do contracts without actually doing contracts.
Right. Again, demystifying it. It's literally bingo content generally for UAMs because it's a pain in the ass to get those things. But it's when you have it explained to you by Shy, who's just like who's the reason I did contracts at all ever. Just have it put and like literally go get this seed and plant it here, and like that's 90% of it, right? Like just do that before the competition, and you'll probably get a few. Makes it so much easier than thinking, oh shit, I gotta get a seed box, I gotta death bank these things, I gotta, all that stuff. Like it's
Pretty much. So
make it easy to work with.
The guide I'm just put on screen now is what you do it with what seed. It's like, get a maple tree, you claim it or you skip it. Simple. You get like, something easy to grind out, like watermelon seed. Just go do one temple trek and you've got your watermelon seeds. Now you just wait. And then, of course, when you move down, you're just claiming or you're skipping, or you've got the option to go to like a master farmer or a shop. There's also a little thing you can do with contracts is you go to Trollheim or God War's Dungeon, and you lower your farming stat to less than 55, I believe. 55 for cactus. And then you're always going to get a seed that will take 2 hours and 40 at maximum, and you can get them quite quickly from Master Farmers or Amelia at the Farming Guild. So that was one of the things,
Yeah, that was big to just get people to. I think we had a good few people just at least pre-plant a few things, if not. And versus in previous bingos I've seen, I mean, you have like 2 people doing contracts the whole time, and like nobody wants to kill Hespori. I guess another thing on the Hespori thing, right, is nobody wants to kill it because that's a very convenient deathbank, and we basically like, hey, just fun thing for the grandmas. Everybody deathbank and forecast. Like,
yeah, sorry,
make it
4 times as much, but deal with it. We're gonna win.
Like it's just like put it out there, present an alternative. Don't like let people flounder. Where it's like, oh shit, I gotta find somewhere to deathbank. It's like, just be like, yeah, here you go. If you have forecast,
solve
if you have
all
VM,
the problems while displaying the solutions.
Yep, exactly. So and it worked very well.
I think those are the 2 big ones for our prep. But I think you were the lead man for the baggables tile. Sadly, it's not filled in again. But this was our baggables spreadsheet where we kind of said about last minute prep ideas, what you could do. So as we said, we had some good people with Kelsey and Fasona who had a lot of noted herbs, and then Nimi had like lots of fish.
13 million XP.
Yeah, she
just 99 off the bat. Did a bunch of temperas, I believe.
In the end, we found it was worth that she actually cooked the fish before the event, so her cooking level was higher, so she could burn less fish during the event, which is mad. Like, you can't be using your prep to.
But they were pretty clear, like, not going to use 13 million cooking experience in one comp. Like, that would be horrible. So, like, we knocked down the estimate, I believe, to like 5 mil, kind of like a flex number of like, oh, we won't expect that from them, but if we need to rely on it, because baggables was a big tile that we really wanted to kind of trim out whatever tier we were going to end with. Like, that's one you can very easily control to not go too far into the next tier to waste time, right?
Yeah, do you remember how panicked we were like before? Like, we're not going to reach tier 1. We're not going to reach tier 2.
Oh my god, I was bitching about it in the chat and all that. I was like, what are these rates for? And yeah, man, we smashed that out of the park. That was not a issue at all. I think we were tier 3 by the second day or something like that. It was
it felt good. Like,
it was good. It was good to not have to worry about that one.
You had a few unique ideas as well for last minute things, like your Fossil Island one you came up with.
I thought that was just gonna be like the biggest brain strat ever, and we did get a few people to do it. So for those who don't know, you can use your unidentified fossils at the mycelium pool up in Fossil Island for prayer XP, and it's pretty fast. And the main thing is you need calcite and phosphorite, which are rewards from volcanic mine, which is absolutely dead content. Not at the time of recording this because now the pickaxe is there, but it was dead content. Nobody knew how to do it. Again, tried to demystify it. We said we'd take some people. I don't think that ended up working very well, but like, that was again something you could do ahead of time to bank the points, so that right into the competition, buy the amount of calcite and phosphorite you need, go process your bones, and boom, everybody's hit 100k prayer XP, which is pretty valuable. That, and obviously the obvious decision of if you have nothing else, just go buy arrows. And
yeah, I did a load of
supplies.
fishies. I cooked my fishies.
Yeah,
during
minnows. Actually, I was doing that from memory, but it's literally right there, last minute prep ideas. So, yeah.
I think it was pretty.
Yeah,
I think
that's good.
the arrows were probably one of the worst ones, honestly. Like they were an option.
We did not use those at all, which was
such a massive amount of XP you need.
Yeah.
You needed 99 fletching a tier. Like, come on,
yeah,
that was.
It was just straight up 13 million experience.
I get it's free, but it's got to be free for everyone, not for people that do manipulation.
And also, I mean, when you're playing actively outside of doing things like pest control or the Irby and
raiding my mains,
Irby was like, there's not much time to fletch if you're playing bingo actively, right? Like this, you're not gonna. There's always going to be better things than just bank standing and fletching. Like that was not good points per hour. So, we had a lot there that it was bagged. It was safe if we needed it. We could tell 3 people, hey, go fletch your darts now or whatever. But, yeah. So that was like back pocket stuff. I think we probably could have gotten another tier, but we didn't because we used that time on other things. So happy with how that ended up.
That was pretty much. Yeah, like
the pre-planning.
A 20-day competition for us, obviously with the 10 days of planning, which led us to the day 1 plan. What we wanted, we kind of went from the information from the tile heat map to see what people were doing and try and put them on what they wanted to actually do. You don't want to send someone to do something they don't want to do, of course. So I was pretty much happy. I did my smithing XP into the competition, then I just hit bosses for the rest of it. And same with people like Aurora and Slayer, they just hit bosses the whole thing, which is great for people that want to hit bosses. Thumb, he mined a little bit.
Well, it's a tad, that was pretty funny. So like day 1 plan, obviously, he was on mining. We thought he might do some thieving, do some herb runs from his comment, but that changed pretty quickly. I think at the end of day 1 or right into day 2, we kind of realized, like, gosh, this guy's not gonna stop.
He couldn't slow that train down. Like, we tried everything. we tried
we were
crashing
a little worried he was
him,
gonna
so
go
he'd
past
lose
tier
6
6. Yeah, that was. But that's later on. But yeah, that was funny. But like the day 1 plan's good. Like getting these plans, which actually I think we'll lead into in a little bit here, the daily messaging, right? Like having a plan, if that saves you 20 minutes of indecision where you're otherwise standing around thinking, oh shit, what can I do? What can I do with this bag? What can I, go do for the team, whatever. If you have 25 people spending 20 minutes a day deciding what to do, I don't know, you can try to do that math. That's a few hours
It's a waste
of time.
It's much better to have your captains, sit down for pretty what do you do, about 15, 30 minutes? Yeah, like,
oh,
not much.
15, hell no. Especially by the end, man.
Yeah,
I was spending, we'll get into that, but it's, like an hour of time for me, 15 minutes of kind of review from you that we'd send out. Like that was, turns into 25 people that know exactly what they're doing for the day. And if they don't want to do that, they'd message us and we change it.
Like a quick message. Like that's like what, a 1 minute message from someone.
Yeah.
And then we can quickly say, okay, no worries, we'll do this then.
So you have, like, not saying 100% uptime, but like you have something staring at you that you can go look at, and it is telling you what to do. And that just alleviates any bag anxiety or like rebagging stuff. Like you just need to know what you're gonna do and you go do it, and you're gonna be more effective that way.
So I think now is the daily message. A few people in general chat may have seen a few of these or heard a few from our good friend Thumb.
Yes,
but I'm going to leak now what I actually put in our daily message. I won't bother with day 0. It's pretty much going to be what we just said about the day 1 plan. We'll go into a bit about the 6 hour into the comp a little bit later. Now I've already started about this, but obviously that was another thing.
Day 1.
So day 1 message from Grandma. Good morning, Grandma.
We don't have Thumb in here.
Maybe I'll message him because couldn't you just do a little audio clip of this? And I'll just edit it in maybe.
Good morning, grandmas. And
Yeah, that's
welcome
it.
and welcome to the dawn of our empire. Yeah. Did you ask a chatbot for?
Yeah, like all the
Yesterday
with AI.
saw us grandmas take first place, and as of now we are holding that title. Why am I feel like a little bit of medieval times where I have this scroll in my hands? Anyway.
Hear ye.
Listen up!
Listen up to the grandmas.
I
This is
want
our
to
show.
thank everyone, for being the most hype and supportive team possible. We're doing so well because everyone, in caps lock, everyone is gaming, not just a few. Day 2 highlight reel. First team to hit 100 points. And first to hit tier 2 tile. Wait, my inventory gets clogged. Actually ragging right now. Yeah, right? I'm actually increasing XP per hour. Okay, maybe that's a strat to read something.
Get the brain working extra hard.
I missed my point. Wait, where am I? Oh yeah, tier 2 tile first, okay. Then there's a player named Ultra Space. Snuck an absolute dinger of a wood cutting 6 hour overnight and took first place. 5J5 inventory full. I'm sorry. I'm just too efficient with this.
This is just entertaining to listen to, honestly.
Love it.
Give me a moment. It feels like I'm carrying like 3 babies, like cleaning the house.
That's what grandma's doing it.
5J5 it came out swinging caps lock, with several huge God Wars, dungeon drops, and starting our PVM prep tile. Player #GFG. Don't worry, I'm not disconnected. I'm still here. And our Robra. I'm sorry. I can't. I don't have the mental capacity to
I
read
think
it
it's
out.
pronounced Aurora.
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 I like Awua better.
Okay. I mean, if I learned something in my literature class in school, I am the one who's deciding how to pronounce the names in the book, because that's up to the creative space of the reader and not the author.
Love it.
That's the only thing. I mean, if someone is like mad at me for like mispronouncing something, well, tell me better. Like, I'll do it better.
We went about what actually happened on the day. That was really good. You know, congratulate those people that did what they did. So obviously, day 1, well, day 0, in fact. Ultra Space got his like the world UI and world record for thieving. Sadly, got broken. Thumb sent a good 6-hour mining. May have done a better one later. And then Slayer sent, I think it was 38 KC at 39 KC at Gauntlet. And then of course Aurora got Aurora, as Thumb says, got an imbued heart, and then Saint got purple, and Heist got 3 purples day 1, which was really nice. Congratulations to those guys. Obviously, you know, it's a huge boost to the team. Having the 2 6 hours done day 1 was also a big bit of our strategy. We said,
Mental.
yeah, going into the mental things, like we want to demotivate other teams as much as you want to motivate your team. So seeing that we got a good lead from having a couple of 6 hours on the board straight away was great for the team. They thought, okay, we're in this to win. And then they went a bit harder themselves maybe. And of course other teams may have looked at that and they said, shit, those guys are good. You know, we're going to have to... It's not even worth trying
we know
anymore.
it's, you know, false points and like, not false points, but like we know it's, if you're the first one to submit, you're going to get 15 points out of it because you're the only one on the board. But that does give your team a boost, and as much as we were doing that, we were also saying like, hey, don't look at the board for the first few days. Like, it's gonna jump as people get onto the board. Tiles are gonna be flying left and right if people are focusing them. Row bonuses are gonna come in day 2 or 3. Like we were like pretty clear, like like look at it when it's good, but don't if we're
Don't
if
spend
some
too
teams
much time
games
looking at it. Really,
70
that's the main
points in
thing.
2 hours. Yeah, like don't worry about it. It'll even out. So it's a good little mix of both. But I think tending to, if you're not first place, just don't look at the board, because it's very easy for people to be, oh my god, we're last place, but you're like
You're
a
last
day
place at
away
the
from being
moment,
first
yeah.
place. Like it's especially at the start, like it's not at all an indicator of where you're gonna be. And that was important to have that. And I think that in the daily message, like having things like highlights kind of pulls it away from tiles, and we talked about it, but like pulls it to specific events, gives people the kind of thought of like, oh man, I want to do something that gets on there, like, or just being happy for the team like that. I think that was something that I didn't think, like, we were gonna do it going into the comp, but it definitely did not think they were gonna be this long. I actually had to buy the $10 Discord Nitro
Yeah,
subscription
this
just
is
to
like
type
we're
the long enough
scrolling down. Like
message.
these are the short ones as well. Of course, yeah. Then we
Yeah,
go
they
in
got longer
like
later.
the daily goals, which obviously like day one was
Yes.
tier 2 baggables, and then
Yep.
keep looking at the collection log, make sure we know it.
Team
And
goals. Yeah.
we didn't really have much on the collection log at this point. We hadn't looked at it. We just knew dragon items and mystic items had to be submitted, otherwise you were wasting points. So yeah, then we went on to saying what everyone's doing. Obviously very similar to the day one plan, because it was day one still. And
every day.
And then it got long. And then it gets really long. So I'm just going to scroll down quickly.
I got excited about it. I was like, man, I got all these highlights. We got, we kind of changed up methodologies a few times as well. Like at one point we kind of started grouping people, but then we went back to individual goals, because again, I think we found out that just worked better to be like, somebody is going to click on message from grandma, and which
Just
is
look for their name,
channel
yeah.
name for this. Look for the name, what's next to it, and do that. And like they'll tell us if they don't want to do that, but if they don't mind doing it, they're going to go do that. And we can tell them independently later, like, okay, like we finished this tile, move on to something else, request, I should say. But everybody was always amiable to that. So I think the individual listing out, while it's a bit long and it makes it like a lot to look at, it is very useful for people to just have this stone. And like I will say, they did the admin team did shout out admin team. They did include that into the team sheets. I believe there was a tab in the team sheet Excel doc.
We
that
didn't use that whatsoever. It was
didn't
probably
use it,
useful, but we had
it was
our other
good.
way of doing it.
Basically, it's the same exact thing that we're doing here. So like that is, I'm glad they honed in on that, and I hope other teams used that. We just sort of wrote it into Discord, but that that idea has clearly made it to them, so that's good.
I think that was probably one of the main things, is like just knowing what people were doing. Obviously, it really helped.
Yeah.
So going all the way back to day one, 6 hours into the competition, that was one of the things you obviously said before, like, I hope no one fucks us up. Like, there's always one person that fucks
There's
it
always
up.
several people, man.
Yeah.
That's I think in previous bingos, I've always had, people are on for the 6 hour. It's a hype thing. It's kind of like getting into it. Everybody's fresh, and universally, in all of my previous bingos, I've always been there for that. And like multiple people will log out at 0:59, or they'll log out like 2 seconds after the update, but they won't have gotten their
Yeah, do like a
temple
6 and
update time.
4
Like
or
it's
something. Yeah.
So our main strategy for communication here was hold for 5 minutes. Like we started saying like 15, but we kind of came back to 5. So we said nobody start the 6 hour until 5 minutes after the 6 hour window opens, because that gives 5 minutes of run over, where it's way easier to do your temple update that way. But then also, ideally, nobody do like call log content, nobody do things that we need screenshots for, because if you miss that, that's gone, and that like your RNG's wasted or whatever.
Just
right?
don't take unnecessary risk, really.
Yeah, and no baggables was a big thing, because
Yeah.
with how hard locked the baggables tile is, we really did not want people risking losing that, because as soon as you start the comp officially, there's no risk involved, right?
Pretty much.
So
Yeah.
if there's even if you just did, I think I did like redwoods 6 hour. I had a wood cutting 6 hour of like 300k, but it's just anything, you think about it as extra, try to get people on, get people hyped, but just don't mess it up, because that really can kind of mess people's heads up. I think we did have 2 or 3
No, we were
6
perfect.
hours.
Oh,
I
true
think
6 hours.
Aka, no, I think the pre, right? Because I think Cal, or I'm thinking actual 6 hours? Because I think Cal and Aka both had internet issues.
Yeah, so that was just
Aka
internet issues.
Kamiko.
So that was out of control.
That wasn't like that's not a.
But
that's
like you
not
said, they didn't do the baggables, so it wasn't a loss, like a big
yes,
loss.
yeah, it was like agility and Slayer or something like that. Like it would be good, but it's not taking away from the competition later if you lose it.
Ultra Space went for a normal 6-hour record, just casually sending rank 1 at the time. Thank you, dipshit. That was that. But like the main thing, we've got it's better to have 6 hours of gameplay definitely registered than to, get that extra 10-15 minutes. Like,
yeah, it's really not worth it. And the whole thing is you're still getting that extra 10 to 15 minutes into the comp. You can play it in. You're just not getting that over other teams. But again, if you have one person do a 3-hour in and it not mess up, that already overcompensates for like 10 people doing 6 hours that get that extra 15 minutes or whatever.
exactly,
right?
yeah.
Oh, but don't do the math on that. But
No, that's right.
You know what I mean?
Would have been 12, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's definitely better to have them all registered than any of them screw
and
up
also
in any
just
way.
mental wise, like obviously, because that happens, and man, you just want to log off. So you're like, oh god. I remember, I think Sank, and I don't know if it was 2 bingos ago or 1 bingo guy, but I was on Sank's team again, and he was doing
it's Hunter. Yeah,
I want to say like
that.
a Hunter 6-hour into the comp, which is a great way to start the comp, but I think it fumbled the bag there a little bit. Like
it was no loot Herbie as well, so it was a complete waste of time for him.
Yeah,
But
and it was just like,
he went back and did it, didn't he? So it was just
Yeah,
practice.
Yeah, but it was, you just don't want that happening. Like it's
I think aiding with people's 6 hours is really important as well. Like it's better than just in general if like one of us wasn't playing, just to help someone do 6 hours. So I helped Ultra Space a few times with his, but by helping him, I mean I just just had my feet up, just watching Temple, watching his stream,
watching him do 2 tick-teaks the whole time. But
so yeah,
like him and Thom and
2 ticking his woodcut in, and then I'd say to him, right, I'm updating it now. So that basically meant, because obviously woodcutting you're in combat, it can be longer than 6 hours. He was just getting like an update every minute, just so he was going to get the most XP he possibly could. Then when he logged, I'd tell him the amount of time he had to play the game before he'd have to log again, and then I would just message him now when he had to log, and then I'd update it, and that was perfect. He didn't have to worry about any of the 6-hour shit. I just, helping him through it.
No clicking or anything. Like just the trust there is good. And for people that don't know how 6 hours work in Temple, they very brief summary, but they're basically 5-hour records, because you're logging your data point from 6 hours of gameplay, which is the longest time you could be logged into the game. You're logging that and putting that into Temple, and then you have a 5-minute window to gain more experience after that to add on to it. But as far as Temple knows, like the data points were all within 5 minutes, so it's technically a 5-minute record, but it's very precise, and it's coming on the back of 6 hours of intense gameplay. So there's definitely nerves there trying to do it. You don't want to lose clicks at the end, so having somebody do that for you is very beneficial mentally.
As you're going back to the mental thing, let's talk about Sarens and what he did for the team.
Just I'm just thinking of the last meme he sent with the dabbing kid. There's like Saren's supporting the team with memes, and then he's like crying. He's like being told he's a bully. Saren's absolute holding down the fort there for us. The man was gaming. Also, I gotta say, like it's not like he's like bottom of the leaderboards and making memes and just like being like he was rank 1 rune crafting like a day after he stopped rune crafting for the team. Definitely put points in there, but the mental was incredible. I don't know if you have some of his fine collection, but
so I'm gonna get
just like every time anything happened, it was just like 3 seconds later Saren said a meme. So yeah, he got a promotion, which was great. Straight to PR of grandma's. So
let's get a few of these up. Sadly, Tree, we won't be able to see these, but I could describe it. It's the It's the
You have
It's
to
the,
describe it. You just scroll through it.
it's the Thanos one. Ultra space.
Oh,
the
God.
rest of GFG. Perfectly
Yes,
balanced.
yeah. That's how things should be.
The loudest
Oh,
sounds
God.
on Earth. Thumb making Guam tar.
He absolutely would just shriek, and we kept thinking like he got a pet or something, or like something crazy happened, and it's just like he's just like I made Gormtar.
Pimples 0. Blackhead 0. PVM prep 0.
Hero. Yeah, the PVM prep propaganda machine probably did more weight for the PVM prep tile than anybody actually
Yeah,
did.
he did
PVM
more
prep
than us for
activities.
PVM prep.
Yeah.
Get off my tile, that was a good one. Obviously, no one was allowed to touch runecrafting for Serens. He was
Yeah.
rank 1 in that.
Yeah. So they're like this is just part like like during the whole competition I think we worked it out. We had like our voice call had like 4 hours of dead time a day in a 24-hour period just because we were an international team. But also, I mean, I woke up every day. I already kind of wake up early, but I was waking up most days at like 5 a.m. my time, and there were already people on, and I just jump into chat before work. I had like 2 hours to kill. I had to write the message, but you're just on immediately, and you see people in there. You want to hop in, and like people would jump in even if there's nobody in because people are looking. Like you go, oh, somebody's in there, I'll jump in, and there's just like constantly active. Like there was very little downtime socially, and so we're all just in here cracking up about somebody like making Thumb making Guantar or whatever, and then we're just like at Saren like make a meme, this is the situation. just like whip something together. So
One thing I will say about you waking up at 5 o'clock though,
yes.
what happens after 8 p.m?
Oh God, we got Herb City situation there. Yeah, so that was a constant thing because I was on like all freaking day when I could be on the weekends, obviously. But yeah, there was a recurring situation that after 8 p.m., which is like pretty early for most of the gamers on the team, 8 p.m. my time, I guess. Like my mental would I was feeling great, doing wonderful, but like words and experiences and everything just kind of went down the bed. I don't know if you have the Anku incident of 2023. I think I was just sat like doing Turiel Slayer for some reason because I was just like, I want to get these heads out, and then I like just like mentally I'm like I don't know where the hell I am, and I'm like take a screenshot of myself and I'm just killing Anku's like praying mage like in the wrong Slayer location, or I've killed 70 dwarves. Like yeah, it was a hot mess when it was like a 15 dwarf task. Like, but I was just trying to be there for the team, but everybody was like, get the fuck off.
Just go home. You're drunk.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, that was fun though. That was made for some good memes.
Yeah, I think the record we had, I was messaging Pets one day. I was like, "You're not allowed to go to bed yet. We've got to keep this. We've got to keep this call alive." And like, I think we had the call up for like something like 50 hours at that point, and it was just mad.
Shit.
Like,
yeah.
no, it must have been more than that. 'Cause it was 2 days straight, and then like probably another 12, so maybe like 60 hours.
Yeah.
Which is
Just
probably not a good
somebody in
thing
there.
because the day after that he was shattered and he got a bit grumpy with us. So, yeah, we had to tell him off.
Yeah, that's like me as well. Yeah, but it's we kind of found our rhythm. I mean, talk about staying up for a long time. Slayer at the end of the comp was
yeah, Slayer
he was
fell
awake
asleep,
for
didn't he?
about 30 hours straight trying to get that number 1 MVP spot. Got close. But
Yeah, it won't be an
Ultra
ultra
held that
space. Ultra space to go.
like we were all watching his stream because he was in the call. We were like, why is he in Relica like fish stalls right now?
Yeah.
And he just been sitting there. I think he fell asleep. Like I don't know if he was in his chair, like fell off to his bed or whatever. But we were all just like, where'd Slayer go?
Yeah, I don't
yeah,
quite
he
see
been up for,
Slayer
like,
in this screenshot for our team. I must have fallen asleep by that point.
Was unconscious, yeah, for sure. And,
That last day is a good day, isn't it? We had a bit of a few worries, I suppose, for that day.
yeah.
Maybe the day before. I think it's probably the day before was the main worries. The mummies.
Second to last day. Yeah.
Mummies holding their points. We knew it was coming. We kept saying to our team, "Watch out for the rush. We've got to keep going. We can't stop."
Yep.
Mummies have got, I think it was like 170 potential points
Yeah.
they could get
if
within
they
the
did
space of like
everything they could.
12 hours.
Yep, and they basically did that. Like, and that was impressive in that, like we were saying, not that like it was impressive their strategy wise, right? And that it's good strategy, I think, of like holding back in the thieving tile, because you can see you have very little information about the other teams and what they're doing outside of their points, but you do have this little indicator of their board. And we're sitting there staring at this white tile when they're almost tier 2 on the whole board already, and we're like, it's thieving. Like we're like, there's no way they can't get anybody to thieve. Like surely like that's on purpose, right? And I think they were making jokes about it in general chat, like, "Ah, man, nobody."
I
wants
was
to
just
thieve,"
calling
all
them
that,
out. I was like, "What's wrong?" You know, you
Yeah.
like hold the line or whatever it was, like the Lord of
Yeah.
the Rings meme, and then I just said like Ultra
Yeah.
Space just running in with the as the orc berserker, I think it was.
Yeah,
just blowing them
but,
up.
Yeah, and then the main thing that we noticed with that was it lined up with, I think that was at that point the only 6-hour they hadn't done was also thieving. And I was
Exactly.
like, okay.
Yeah. So they have more
Well, you've
points
got
there.
very minimum a really banger of a 6-hour, because you're going to get your high amount of points, which ended up they've got first place. So 15 points for that, and then 10 points for if you use that 6-hour to complete your tile. Right, so that's a 25-point log from one individual if you do that correctly. And then if you have other people on it, and you have maybe, I don't know, I forget how it
You're
all
also
shook out,
forgetting the row
but we were
bonuses.
thinking row bonuses. We were thinking, what if they got the whole tier 2 blackout, and then they did the tier 2 like immediately, they just had everybody on it, so they knocked out that tile in like an hour or something like that.
So if they got
we were calculating that out, and
if they got 2 tiers of blackout and 15 points, that puts them at 95 points, and they still had a lot of challenges left over at that point.
Well, then row bonus, or is that including row
That's
bonuses?
including and row bonus is
Yep.
95 points,
and
the blackout bonus.
and they had some like speed runs and stuff, and so we were like trying to think, like I think at that point we were like 300 points ahead at our highest peak, right? And Mummies were in like 4th place, but ironically we were watching them the most because we were like doing the math and like potential points, they're actually closest, and that ended up being what happened. So the last 2 days were a little stressful. I think it was a lot of trying to keep the communication consistent and positive, and saying, hey, like the gaps closed quite a lot, but also knowing that at that point I think we had tier 3'd the board, and we were in this kind of like not barren wasteland, but much less fruitful land of
there's
no
no
row
bonuses.
right?
You have to just grind,
Yeah.
and that's all you
A
got.
tile is 10 points, and we also had gotten most of the easy call logs, so we couldn't really rely on that. And it was just like, I mean, you got to have somebody do like, EHP 20 hours of something to get 10 points. But we knew, and we were trying to explain to the team that like they just gained this massive amount of points, but they're going to hit the same wall as we are, and we're going to keep going forward into this, swamp of
Yeah, we were
of 10
ahead.
point tiles.
We had the plan ready.
And it was
Considering
like,
plans, they were
behind.
looking at what they did. It was the complete opposite plan for us. We obviously wanted to send those 6 hours early, get them on the board, and get people demotivated. They did the
held on.
opposite. They held off and not demotivated us. They further motivated us by knowing it was coming. But of course, if they
we
sent
hadn't
it and
seen
overtook, if they overtook us with that, that
We
would have
would've
been hugely demotivating. I think
mental
that would've-
shattered. Yeah, and that's why I was, I think it was right at the point when we were like 150, 200 points ahead, that I was most worried that they were going to do that, because if you get that mental lead, like, I mean, after they did their thing in like the second to last day, and they got up within like 100 points or so, we had a 100-point lead, and I was still freaking out. I was like wigging. I was like, oh my god, we
This
got to
isn't
come
enough.
up
This
with strats.
isn't
I
enough.
need to not sleep. Doing all this math. Like, that's with a 100-point lead. If you get past, you're like, your mental is just shattered at that point, because you're like, oh my god. And like, we've seen that happen before in events, and that was something we were like, we cannot, like, we need to grow this lead so big that can't happen, which ended up working out first place. So
Yeah, a little final message from Grandma on the screen at the moment. Yeah,
Oh, man.
just the screenshot. We're just like showing the last little things we're doing. We were getting like tier 5 or tier 6 on this tile. We getting only
just
this there, and then like we just
very
completely blacked out
consistent.
tiles. Like no one do these tiles. They're not even a thing
Yep.
anymore.
Yep.
Don't do
I
them.
think Lillian helped with that. They were sending like a visual of the board, just saying like, yeah, like, here, don't even look at these. Here's the XP, and like, just constant at the whole team. Like, if somebody was sleeping, I'm sorry about that, but you've got to have those super quick updates, so you just barely cap it out, because any experience or points or whatever over a tile, completely useless, right? If that's somebody's 20 minutes, that's 20 minutes that could have been on another tile that you're trying to complete at the last minute. But I think we edged it. I think we had 5 hours left or so in the comp when we were like almost like 3 or 4 maybe. 3 or 4
Yeah,
hours.
so I think
When
we had 4 hours
completed
of
all of our goals.
dead time at the con. We could have done
Yep.
another tile, but we thought we would
Yep.
end on a high. We decided to send a Chambers mass. I think we had about 15, maybe 12, 15 people there.
Yep.
And then we got purple. We got rewarded. Aaron Man managed to get himself another
Yeah,
dex.
somehow that was the biggest surprise of all bingo, considering the points. But it was a good time just to get a bunch of people in it, get the KC, and just have everybody kind of on screen. We got fun little screenshots and stuff, and good way to end, knowing that like, hey, like maybe we could do one more tile if we get 20 people to go click RD Knights for an hour or something like that. But it's we felt like 10 points wasn't going to make the difference. At that point,
we were
so
happy to reward our team, and then we went to take our screenshot in the quarry. Thumb doing his final 6-hour attempt at the competition was in the he was ready for rank 1, and we crashed him. And then he fucking made one tar again.
Yeah,
so
we were all riding the high off the Chambers, man. We were like, oh, let's go to the quarry for a team shot, because Thumb's been this like hero, of the of the team. Legitimately, for anybody that doesn't know, Thumb legitimately mined granite for all 10 days. Like, just straight up tier 6 the tile. I think we had a cumulative like about 1 tier from everybody else on the team, and he tiered 5, like did 5 tiers himself, and was just constantly doing 6 hours. And it started at 90, ended up getting 99 on the day before the last day, and wanted to send a last 6 hour with 99 because that's such a big boost in experience. Was on pace to beat number 1 Despa, who was his just like, he's got the poster on the wall. He's like, I will pass you. But and then we kind of crashed him in the last 15 minutes. So that was unfortunate, but
technically it's against the game rules, so basically the whole team is going to be banned from the next one. Pretty unfortunate, but
they got to take the powerhouses out somehow. They're coming for our taxes next.
Sadly, a few closing statements. I don't think I will be playing on Shy for the next bingo, so I won't be captaining. I think it's going to be a little bit of a busy period if it's during the summer, so you most likely won't be seeing me for the next one. However, are you going to lay down any bold statements at this time?
I'm not going to put any this is my first time captaining, first time getting first place as well, so who knew. But I don't want to lock myself into it. But I really enjoyed it. I came into it thinking, what the hell, like I've been shying away from this, so to speak, for a few years now. I want to try it. If I don't like it, I just won't do it, and I'll be a participant, and it'll be easy. And if I do like it, cool. And I loved it. Massive fan of the planning and the interaction and everything. So
spreadsheets.
It'll be spreadsheets, but it's dependent on life as always, right? But as long as I don't have anything wildly pressing, you might see me back on the captain's list again, and people will know my name this time because I won't name change again. So, we'll see. Not expecting to win or anything, but definitely have the strats. And now the strats are all in this video. So if I'm like, what the hell did we do? I just come back to this. But think
all the
we could
strats, and then no one can beat us. So I'll end this video here. Thank you for anyone that tuned into the whole thing. I hopefully have left timestamps in it. Thank you for joining me, Tree, and
yeah, absolutely.
Good luck on winning next time.
That was a good time. #GFG.
GFG.